Howdy there, folks. Kirk here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Today, what I'm going to do is something a little bit unusual. What I'm going to show you is how we use a penetrating sealer over grout, bricks, tile, rock, stucco, you name it. I'm going to use it here, and plus I'm going to use some caulking. This is very similar. This is it's like rubber, but it has sealant in it, and it also flexes, and it has sand in it, so it kind of looks like the grout here. But before I do all that, I'm going to give you some advice, or give you my opinion on something that we have here. I get this a lot. When I leave here, I'm going to another project very similar to this, and that is they did a pest report here, and yeah, some of the walls got some issues here and there, and the pest report pointed out that this particular porch should be replaced. And what I did was, when I got here, I said, let me see underneath the porch, because we had 2 solid days of rain. Now granted, we're in a dry winter, but we did have the two good days in January of rain. So I went under there and I looked at it. Now I read the pest report and I thought, they're right. There is mold under there, and mold kind of looks whitish, but all the wood looked pretty well. Now she was telling me, well, gee, the price is kind of steep, and it was about 20 grand to replace the porch. 18.5 plus permit fees, $1,500. And she says, well, gee, what would you do? Now this is advice. I said, if this porch was over my living room or over my bedroom, I would fix it. Now, if I could not afford their price, I'd find somebody else, or I'd do it myself, but I would replace it as soon as possible, because right now you just have mold and fungus, but eventually that's going to turn into wood rot. Now the fellas who own the house before you, now what they've been doing is they've been caulking this and sealing it. Now it's somewhat of a band-aid, but it does work if you know how to do it properly. And so what I said was, I said, call my son and he'll do this work for you as part of what he does. And that means he'll pressure wash this with 3,000 psi and come and caulk and seal all this grout. Now the question is, should you do this right away and spend 20,000 and take it, you're making 13 bucks an hour, you're retired, you don't have very much money? You can do what they did, which is what we are going to do today. We're going to go ahead and caulk all this and apply this penetrating sealer. If you're going to do some work and you have very little money, focus on the areas which are very important, like water intrusion on the house, not start the water intrusion on just the foundation. So we're going to get started, and again, I'd like to point out to folks, don't panic if it's just the porch, where the water is not going to go inside your bedroom. If you don't have the money saved up, a lot of people right now, 4th year recession, can't even pay their mortgage, so you're not obligated to do it. That's my whole point. If you don't need to do it and you don't have the money, don't stress out and say, gee, I've got to borrow money to do it, unless it's water coming in on the house. Anyhow, we're going to get started here. Okay guys, you could use a sponge float, or you could use your finger for this caulking, and just get it in there, and when all is said and done and this dries, it's going to match somewhat of this here, so it won't be such an eyesore. Now, another thing too I'll point out while I'm here is this polyurethane caulking. I'm always using that, but it's not paintable. However, Jay just told me, he was online, he found some Sikaflex sealant that is paintable, but what I want is something with the sand in it, so it gives the impression when it dries and it gets weathered that it's part of the grout. Anyhow, I'm getting back to this, and Jay's going to finish applying that penetrating sealer. He's done half up there. I'll show you that too. And again, penetrating sealer, when it's done, it'll start beading up. Alright guys, I'm not done with the caulking yet, but Jay is applying some of that sealer in the grout. The grout is what we're really after. It does seal brick, tile, and the rest of that stuff. You name it, it seals it. But the grout is where we have our issues. I'll show you another thing too, is in case you folks weren't aware, that one brick to Jason's left, the top one, is sticking out just a little bit. And of course, the porch moved. So it's an old house. It's about 80 years old. Yeah, that membrane has seen better days, but it's still got some life left in it. Okay folks, we are about to get out of here. I've used Titan. This I buy at my material yard. It's Westside Builders, formerly Alta Building Supply in Oakland. You can pick this stuff up wherever you like. The last thing I wanted to point out was we may do some work around the perimeter of this house where We tear off some stucco and replace it, like we're going to do on another project. And the woman on the other project asked me, well, Jude, do you need a permit? You need a permit if you're going to start repairing wood. But if you're not going to be repairing wood and we're just tearing stucco off and we're going to replace it because it's leaking and the membrane is broke, we don't really need a permit for that kind of stuff. Anyhow, I thought I'd address some of these questions here. My name is Kirk. I am with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Thank you folks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.